Daredevil Born Again is one of the greatest Daredevil stories ever written. It was so good it was adapted for Daredevil Season 3, and Marvel used the name for Daredevil Revival Show. It has become one of the definitive Daredevil stories of all time. Born Again was written by Frank Miller, who wrote one of the best comic book runs of all time with his Daredevil run starting in 1980. Miller left about 2 years later in 1982, and for a few years Denny O'Neil took over the book. His run was a bit middling, but it has its moments. During this time, Miller returned to do a fill-in issue in 219 called Badlands. In 1985, O'Neil left for DC, so the editor of Macchio asked Miller if he was interested in returning to Daredevil. Miller agreed, and we got about a 6-issue long run called Born Again. The setup is quite simple. Kingpin finds out Daredevil's secret identity and puts all his focus in making Daredevil's life as miserable as possible. The following year, in 1986, Miller was a busy man and he released 2 graphic novels, Elektra Assassin, a really weird take on Elektra, and Daredevil Love and War, a really disturbing take on the mind of an insane person. 4 years later, Miller released another graphic novel, Elektra Lives Again. Golly, I wonder what that's about. And he ended his time with Daredevil with one more miniseries in 1993, The Man Without Fear, the definitive take on Daredevil's origin. I originally planned to include all these in this video, but I've decided to split the video in half. The graphic novels and their analysis in its own video, and this one will focus on the main run of Born Again, Badlands, and Warriors. Everyone else has raved about these issues, but I haven't, so now it's my turn. Starting with the main show. The catalyst for Born Again comes with Karen Page, who's addicted to junk. Miller, are you trying to get past censors? Well, 2 can play that game. She's broke and needs another hit of junk, and she pays with the only thing she has, knowledge. She sells Daredevil's secret identity, which Kingpin immediately hears about. Kingpin takes all of his resources and begins to torment Daredevil. Not by sending out hitmen, not yet, just to ruin Daredevil's life. Kingpin uses his influence to make it so Matt's mortgage payments have disappeared and IRS have received a report Matt has been skipping out on taxes, so his assets are frozen. The judge receives evidence that Matt has bribed a witness. That's a big no-no for lawyers, so he loses his license. It's also deliciously evil, and especially as an adult who has to deal with finances, this is my biggest nightmare come to life. Like, just reading this makes me feel weird. Matt's girlfriend finds time to break up with him during all of this. That one's on Matt, honestly. After a few weeks, Kingpin escalates and straight up blows up Matt's apartment. Matt finally realizes who's behind everything, and it's game on. Born Again is a 6-issue story that can be read as a standalone story. It does naturally continue some stuff from O'Neil's run. In short, Foggy essentially lied about a case which led to a bad guy getting off the hook. I'll be honest, I don't like the story, and I honestly don't really remember that well what exactly happened. It's the Micah Sin storyline. If you want to read it, you can, but it's not exactly a highlight. Just know Foggy is not a good guy in that storyline. Eventually, Foggy decided he can't work with a man who's never there, so he dissolved their partnership, which is why Matt's unemployed. This literally happened like 2 issues prior. Heather died about 7 issues earlier, which I don't think ever comes up in Born Again, but it's still a major hit that makes this Matt's lowest point. Hobo Daredevil prepares for revenge. He sits in a room and thinks of a plan. He's even thinking about killing Kingpin at one moment. Born Again feels like a finale for Miller's run, a climax. This scene makes perfect sense for anyone. Kingpin blew up Daredevil's house. Daredevil wants to punch Kingpin. Perfect, even the smallest of brains can follow this. But if you read Daredevil leading up to this, it gains some extra weight. Hobo Daredevil is out of control. He's attacking not innocent people, but he's going extra violent. He attacks a police officer just because he might be working for Kingpin. Hobo Daredevil attacks Kingpin and he fails and gets smacked around hard. Born Again is about Daredevil's rebirth. This is his lowest point, but only once everything's been torn down can we rebuild it back up. We get some very subtle Christ imagery, and we even goes to the gym to get ready to whoop a nuke. Rebirth is through pure, unadulterated pain. Daredevil loses everything he has, and with that, he becomes free to do anything. My favorite scene is probably issue 2's ending, where Kingpin throws Daredevil into ocean, only to receive a word, "There is no corpse." And you just watch Kingpin as he realizes, like, oh no, there is no corpse. And Kingpin thinks about this for hours. He took everything from Daredevil. Now that man has nothing. Kingpin can't do anything to Daredevil. There is no home to destroy, no career to discredit, and a man without hope is a man without fear. A little corny line, but I appreciate it. Daredevil can whoop 200 issues worth of bad guys and now he's unhinged. That's a scary thought to have as a Kingpin. You can drop a nuke on Daredevil, but it's really hard to actually kill him. We get Hobo Daredevil until he's ready to put his suit back on in one of the hardest suit up panels ever. It's not just Daredevil that goes through this rebirth, the supporting cast get to experience a rebirth too. Ben Urich is threatened by Kingpin to kill a story. Urich is too scared to publish Kingpin's dirty deals until Urich has had enough. He's physically assaulted, his life is on the line, and there's this scene, which is one of my absolute favorite scenes in all of Daredevil, where Kingpin wants to send a message to Urich that, hey, don't mess with us, by calling him and murdering a man, making Urich listen to the man die on the other side of the phone. With no way out, he decides to go against Kingpin, no matter the consequences. Karen starts out as a person willing to sell her man out for some junk. As the story goes on, she tries to give up the junk. She travels and suffers until she reunites with Matt, and with his forgiveness, she can leave her past behind. This is one of the most powerful pages I've ever read. Not gonna lie, I almost shed a tear. Buggy and Gloriana birth a relationship during all of this. I hate seeing them together. I hope it all goes wrong. You should be as miserable as me. Joking aside, O'Neill put Gloriana through the ringer. She was treated awful. It felt like every other issue something terrible happened to her. With the Gale and there was the gas issue. She had an awful time, so it's nice that she's given a break. She didn't need more. Treat her well for exchange. Daredevil's main theme, to me, what his whole story has been about in the little I've read, is perseverance. Getting back up after getting knocked down. Miller deconstructed Daredevil's whole life. Denny O'Neill came in to kick the body, and Miller looked at that and was like, nah, we're not done. And still, Daredevil gets back up. Daredevil captures Hero's indomitable fighting spirit, and this story might capture that the best so far. Ain't no way around it. I love Daredevil. Born Again is the quintessential Daredevil story, but in the last 2 issues, Avengers show up, and this panel of Thor goes unfathomably hard for no real reason. I think the Avengers are here to show just how far Kingpin's influence goes. They're apprehending Nuke for the statesmen that are working for Kingpin. Avengers are fine, but I don't think they're really necessary, and I think it takes away from Matt's story. Nuke is an odd villain too, as he's failed Captain America that pops a pill that sends him into an uncontrollable rage. He's insane. He sees enemies of America everywhere. He's here to show just how desperate Kingpin is to get rid of Daredevil, to turn on to a man like this, to let a man like this loose in New York. Captain America gets focused in the final issue, which is super weird. It feels out of place to me. I like Captain America stuff, but this just doesn't really belong. Again, I feel like it's trying to connect Daredevil and Kingpin to a larger world, but doesn't really fully land. I like it, it's all fantastic. Every panel is gorgeous, every character is engaging, and these issues are still A tier in every single way. But I would have preferred if Born Again stayed focused on Daredevil. This really does feel like a different arc, but it is so tied to Born Again with plot that it's really not. Urich's story exposes Kingpin for the world. Kingpin is above the law, so he's technically fine, but he's also lost much of influence as his contacts leave him. There is no big battle with Kingpin. Daredevil doesn't go back to even score. He just kind of gets together with Karen and takes a happy stroll with his girlfriend. Born Again seems to be a point where Kingpin's power begins to fracture as his lieutenants begin to question him. Kingpin puts them back in line, but there is discontent there. I don't remember if Kingpin has been questioned before, but it does feel like Kingpin's torment is actually kind of backfiring, and it might be the start of a fall. I don't know, I haven't read past this point, but the climb up must eventually climax with taking down the Kingpin. I want payback for all of this. The art by Mazzucchelli is, as you'd expect, masterful. Mazzucchelli is one of the best artists of all time, and Born Again is him at the top of his game. It's a visual masterpiece. My favorite panels are all the obvious ones. The reunion, the red costume, Kingpin hanging out in his vacation attire. I mean, look at his little shorts. There's some creative storytelling with scenes flashbacking to the time Matt became blind, so we just get black panels and dialogue and this silhouette of his mom. It's really incredible stuff. I absolutely adore the storytelling. There is this scene where Urich is listening to a man getting killed through a phone, and the camera keeps zooming in while everyone behind him are adding noise by yelling and moving around. I love Nuke's design, the way he's portrayed as this psycho mercenary who pops a pill that turns him into an unstoppable soldier with uncontrollable rage. He reminds me of the ultimate Captain America. The final image of Matt in the alleyway, it's really good stuff. Everything about it is just so good. Born Again genuinely might be a perfect Daredevil story. Despite my little criticism of the ending, it's incredible and it is perfect in its own way. Born Again is a masterpiece and it is basically the heart of Miller's return. But before Born Again, Miller did 2 other issues. The first of which is issue 219, Badlands. This one's illustrated by John Buscema. Badlands has Daredevil out of costume the entire time, which I don't know how common that is for Daredevil, but Frank Miller's second run is mostly him out of costume, which is very interesting considering that Miller spent so much time deconstructing Daredevil. Badlands is definitely an interesting story with a tone that I guess is more Western inspired, where a nameless hero walks into town, saves the day, and leaves without muttering a word. The story is narrated by an unknown narrator. We never see Daredevil start, so this is, I think, what Daredevil saving the day looks like to everybody else. I don't know what to say. I don't think it's bad. I just kind of don't get it. Like, I don't know. I feel nothing towards this story. I don't dislike it. I don't particularly like it. I am completely indifferent to it. I really can't even put my finger on why it falls flat for me. It's just nothing to me. I am very curious about Badlands. How did you feel about this one? Is it popular? What's the community's feeling on it? I would love to hear it. The other issue is issue 226, Warriors, the issue right before Born Again. We're back with Mazzucchelli's art. This issue is not directly really related to Born Again's plot per se, but it does set the stage by having the cast talk about where they're at the time. It's about the mood. The issue brings up Elektra and Heather. Gloria has grown frustrated with Matt, and she brings up Secret Wars 2 issue, where Beyonder, basically God, comes down on Earth and gives Matt his sight back. Matt spends the Secret Wars issue wandering around enjoying things and just seeing, and it's an absolute banger of an issue, highly recommend it. I believe it's issue 223. I honestly wrote a little section spoiling it, but I'm not going to because somebody might read it and you should. It's really good. In Warriors, Matt's frustrated with his life and this issue is just a mood. It's been bad for Matt. His friendship with Frankie hasn't been doing so well. Secret Wars 2 happened and I would be pretty mad after that. The losses are weighing on Matt before Born Again. It's a somber issue that gives you a breather, where the heroes can just kind of sit down and just really feel out what they're feeling. Look around and be like, yes, things are really bad. Honestly, if you're going to read Born Again, I would recommend starting the run from 220 onwards. If you want a more complete look, although be warned, issue 220 deals with very explicit issues with depression, loss, and be warned, it's seriously heavy stuff. But if you're not sensitive to that kind of topics, it is worth adding these issues to your Born Again reading list. Miller completely deconstructed Daredevil during his first run, and that's really where he left us in the first Daredevil run. Roulette is a masterpiece, and I love it. It's a perfectly haunting ending to Miller's Daredevil, but I do think Miller left the character in a bit of a bad spot. He basically proved why Daredevil doesn't work and dipped. O'Neill tried to write different kind of Daredevil, but he was trying to still appeal to fans, and I don't think it quite worked out. I think he fundamentally was unable to continue the story, the themes, the ideas from Miller's run. And I think it's handicapped O'Neill's run a bit. Not because of its quality per se, but because it tries to continue a story with a broken character. And all you can do is just drag this broken man through some more stuff. Born Again is Miller coming back and quote-unquote fixing the character he broke. And it's why I think this story feels so satisfying. It closes an era of Daredevil and now he's free to go wherever he needs to go. I don't know what stories following Miller are like. I hope Nocenti turns out really well. But I feel like I'm more emotionally ready to move on to the next thing than I was with O'Neill. With O'Neill, I was thinking about, hey, Miller though. Now I'm kind of satisfied. I'm ready. I'm completely okay with whatever comes next, hopefully. For me as a reader, Born Again is a rebirth for the Daredevil comic itself.